So let's take a look now at some scenarios and how we can handle this within the schedule view so that you can make bookings on behalf of your coaching team. Let's say we have a customer who calls up over the phone and they want to make a one-to-one lesson booking with a specific coach. We can use the schedule view to do this. The first thing we need to do is define the lesson duration. The customer indicates they want to make a 45-minute lesson booking, and we can do this by selecting 45 minutes from the duration. We now need to choose the coach. The customer has already indicated that they want to make a booking with Joe Bloggs. We can use the radio icon to do this. So we're going to just hover the cursor over and select Joe Bloggs. The page now refreshes and we can see Joe Bloggs' schedule below. It shows us a week-by-week view, and we can use the arrows to scroll across by weeks. So let's say the customer wants to make a booking the following week, and we can give him a range of times that are available that are indicated in green. Grey times indicate that the schedule isn't open. Red times indicate that a lesson has already been booked, but it is unpaid. The house icon indicates that a lesson has been booked in the studio facility. Let's go back a couple of weeks. A green time indicates a one-to-one lesson booking which has been paid for. It has been marked as paid. These black areas on the schedule indicates where the coach has added a leave to their schedule. So they've indicated here on Monday the 5th that they have time in the shop, and they've designated Thursday the 8th as a full day leave. Finally, we might find yellow bookings, and yellow bookings indicate classes. So let's go ahead now and make this booking. We're going to go ahead and make the booking on Friday the 16th, and the customer has decided they want to make the booking at 10 AM. We can go ahead and click the green icon at 10 AM. And we can see now there's some lesson details. It indicates the coach is available, the coach name, the date, start time and end time. We now have a few options. We can hit the icon to book now and book that slot. We can choose the quick book option, and the quick book option just allows us to define the booking under a name, a last name and a mobile. However, it won't create a customer account under this option, and we would recommend that you always use the book now option. You can also book a recurring booking, which we'll cover in a moment. But let's go ahead and book this time. So we're going to go ahead and hit book now. We now have to answer whether this is a studio lesson. We can ask the customer, and the customer indicates that they don't want the lesson in the studio. We can go ahead and hit no. We now get to the complete order screen. This is where we have to define the student. It may be that the student already has an account within the system. And you can choose students by hitting the select student option. You can search or select the student from the list. To select the student from the list, you would simply click the radio icon. So let's go ahead and book this lesson under a current student. And we're going to go ahead and hit book now. We can now see that the player information has been filled in with the information that's assigned to that customer's account. We then have two boxes, student notes and internal notes. Students' notes can be used to make a note that will be visible to the customer on their booking confirmation. Internal notes is a note that would only be visible to the coach. So let's go ahead and add a note. And we'll add an internal note. So the first note will be visible to the student, and the internal note will be visible to the coach. we now need to select the payment option. Depending on how your Academy's locker account has been set up, there will be different options visible here. Here we have all of the options enabled. Pay by debit or credit card. This option can only be used when the system is linked to a merchant account. Voucher, Pay at Academy, and Package. We'll cover the voucher and package options in future parts of this training series. But let's go ahead and just decide to choose the Pay at Academy option. What this means is that the booking can be processed, but it will be marked as unpaid in the schedule, and the coach will need to take payment from the customer. We now have the billing section where we have some options to apply a gift card code or a discount code. We're going to leave those blank and come on to those in the next few chapters. The final thing we need to do is we need to decide whether the customer wants to receive information via email, SMS, and whether they accept terms and conditions and privacy policies. We can see that this option has already been ticked because the customer already has an account. If the customer decides that they want to receive information via email or SMS, you can tick these options. Finally, we can review the order with the customer. We can call back to them the date, the coach, the time, and the lesson cost. And we're going to go ahead now and hit Book Now. We can now see that the booking has been processed. Let's take a look at the next scenario. The customer has come into our front of house area, and they've indicated that they want to make a lesson booking on a specific date. However, they're not concerned which coach takes the lesson. So let's go down here and click the button Single Day View. And the customer has indicated they want to make a booking on Sunday the 11th of August. What we can do is we can now use the arrows which will scroll by days. And all coaches' schedules are visible in this section. Again, grey times indicate that there is no lesson availability with that coach, and green indicates available times. We can now tell the customer that we have coach number 3 available at a range of times on Sunday the 11th. So let's go ahead and choose 9 AM. And we're going to go ahead and click Book Now. The customer wants to have this lesson in the studio, and we can go ahead and click Yes. We know the studio is available as there is no house icon visible or crossed out on the green time. So let's tick Yes. And we're now going to go and complete the order, but this time we're going to add some player information. We can do that one of two ways. We can add the new student using the modal, or we can complete the player information section just here. We're going to ask the customer for an email address. And we can create them a username and password. The customer will receive a copy of the username on an account registration email. However, they won't receive a copy of the password. Therefore, it's a good idea to get the customer to create this, or you can inform them of the password that they're going to set, that you've set. They can then log back into their account and change the password at a future date. Or they can use the email address and username to retrieve the password in the sign in area. Let's go and set a password. We're going to take a mobile number. Once again, we can add student notes or internal notes. And there's no payment option now that is visible on this booking. The reason being that the lesson price has been set to 0. Anytime that a lesson price has been set to 0, there won't be a payment option that will be visible. We can go down now to the billing section and we'll leave the gift card code and the discount code blank. And we're going to go ahead and ask the customer if they want to receive information via email, SMS, and whether they agree to the terms and conditions and privacy policies. If you click these two icons, it will take you to the relevant page, and you can allow the customer to read this information. Let's go ahead and tick that they agree, and we can review the order with them, and we're going to go ahead and hit book now. That order has now been processed and added to the schedule. Let's now take a look at our next scenario. We have a customer who's come into our front of house area, and they've indicated that they want to make a one-to-one lesson booking with their coach, but they have a package of lessons on account. So, we would follow the same process in order to find the lesson time. The customer has indicated they want to make a 60-minute booking with Coach Joe Bloggs, and we've given them the option that the next available date is Monday the 12th of August. They want to book 4 o'clock, so let's go ahead and select that time and hit book now. We're going to ask the customer if they want this in the studio, and they've indicated no. As the customer has indicated that they have a package of lessons, it's likely that they're going to have an account on the system. So we can go ahead and hit select student and ask for their name. And we can go ahead and hit the radio icon and hit book now. We can see that the information has already been filled in, and we can add some student notes or an internal note for the coach. But we now need to choose the payment option, and the customer has indicated they've already got lessons on account. On this drop down, you will either see the option voucher or packages. In this option, the customer has lesson credits, which is a package option. Let's go ahead and choose the package option. We can now see that we have package selected with the red arrow next to it. We need to hit the red arrow. We can now see a list of packages with the coach. We're going to go ahead and select the middle one. 1 credit is effective to 1 lesson minute. Therefore, we have here a 1-hour lesson booking, which means that we need 60 credits to complete the booking. The 40-minute credits, if we try to apply it, would mean that there's not enough credits to be applied to the booking. We can see now that it's stated that there's insufficient credits, and the customer would need to top up their credits through the coach or by purchasing credits in the store. We'll cover this in a future chapter. However, let's choose a different package. The middle one has 150 total credits remaining. We're now going to click apply, and we can see how a package number has been inserted into the box. We can now go ahead and complete the order by clicking book now. We can now see that the order has been completed. This customer had 150 credits in their account, and we applied 60 credits to complete the booking, which means the customer would now have 90 credits remaining. We're now going to move on to look at a scenario that we may face when we're processing bookings on behalf of our coaching team, which is where a customer wants to make a booking on consecutive days or weeks. So let's go with the scenario where a customer wants to make a 30-minute lesson booking with Coach Joe Bloggs at 6 p.m. for 4 consecutive Fridays. So, we've already checked the system and we've checked that the coach is available for 4 consecutive Fridays. We need to go ahead and select the first lesson date, which is 6 p.m. In our lesson detail screen, we're now going to use the book recurring option. And we need to choose the lesson duration, which is 4. We then need to select whether that's going to be split over days, weeks, or months. We're going to go ahead and select weeks, and the repeat type is repeat weekly. We're then going to go ahead and choose continue. We now need to choose the student. We can see down the right we now have the information that we're about to process, the date of the first lesson, the coach, the start time and the end time, followed by the recurring dates, the cost per lesson, and the total cost for the booking. We now need to choose the payment mode. We can, in this option, either select Pay by Debit or Credit Card, or we can choose Pay at Academy. In this process, we're unable to apply at this point a voucher or a package. However, in the following chapters of the training series and other tutorials, we show you how to apply a package or voucher to a specific lesson booking once it's added to the schedule, which we can do once we've processed these recurring dates. So let's go ahead and choose Pay at Academy, and we're going to go ahead and hit Book Now. We can now see that that booking has been processed and added to the schedule. We're now going to focus on how we would use the Quick Book function within the schedule. The Quick Book function is there for you to be able to book a lesson into the schedule without creating a customer account for a pupil. It is recommended that you use the Book Now option and you proceed to the checkout and you create a customer account for a pupil. However, there may be scenarios where a customer doesn't want an account created. However, they want to have a lesson booked into the schedule, and you can use the Quick Book function to do this. To use the Quick Book function, you need to follow the same process that you would follow to book a lesson in the schedule by finding the lesson time, the coach, and the appropriate lesson option in the schedule. To use the Quick Book option, you simply need to click the green time and hit Quick Book. In the Quick Book option, the only information you will need is the first name, last name, and a contact number for the coach. Once that information is complete, you can click Add and Book. And we can see now that the booking has been added to the schedule with the mobile number visible on the schedule. We're now going to move on to look at how we would handle the scenario within the system where we need to book a lesson retrospectively into a coach's diary. So to handle this, we need to navigate away from the schedule and into the booking system. In the top right hand corner we can see the option to book a lesson in the past. By clicking this button we then have a modal where we're able to select the coach, the student, the lesson date. We can see here on the calendar that the current date is Saturday the 24th of August. We'll only be using this option when we need to book a lesson in the past, so therefore we're going to choose Friday the 23rd. We're going to select the lesson duration and a start time and end time. We then need to hit save. And the lesson has been booked successfully. We need to remember though that we need to navigate back to the schedule and we need to update the paid status of the lesson. So if we click on the coach, Joe Bloggs, we can see that the lesson has been booked yesterday at 3:30 p.m. However, the lesson is indicated as red, meaning that it's currently marked as unpaid. We would therefore go into the lesson and mark the lesson as paid and update the paid status. And we can see how it changes to green. We're now going to focus on how we would handle the scenario where a customer wants to specifically make a lesson booking in the studio. In many instances, a studio space will be limited to one customer per booking. Therefore, within the system, once the studio is booked, it is unable to be booked again for the same lesson time. The system allows you to easily identify the times that are available in the studio. You can either do this by selecting the coach or navigating to single day view depending on the customer's requirements. The customer has indicated they want to make a studio booking with Coach Joe Bloggs. Therefore, we can go ahead and choose Joe Bloggs. We're going to navigate across to the following week. And we can look across the schedule here and identify studio times that are available by looking within the green times. We can see here that at 10 a.m. there is an icon with an X. This indicates that this time is currently booked in the studio. Times that are green with no icon in the centre means that the lesson time is available to be booked in the studio. By selecting the icon and attempting to book the lesson in the studio, we can see that an alert appears indicating that this time is not available for a studio booking. By selecting a green time without a studio icon with a cross through it and hitting Book Now and choosing Yes, we're able to proceed with the booking. Select the student, choose the payment option, and hit Book Now. And that lesson time will now be booked into the coach's diary and the studio.